Greetings to everybody. Welcome to one and all. We are reading from Complete Works of Chandra, Volume 6. And this week I have been reading from the Narada Bhakti Sutras, trying to understand devotion, and field of desire and all that. And it was a very good learning, so I thought I will share with all of us together, so we learn together. In this, Bhakti means devotion. And Narada was a saint who only believed in devotion. And so he writes about what is devotion. And he writes several poems on that. And in that, he says that devotion is the supreme form of love towards the ultimate divinity. He doesn't call it God. He doesn't give it a name of God or anything. He says, he uses the word ultimate divinity. And devotion is this supreme form of love. So there is an ordinary love that is filled with desire, and there is an extraordinary state of love which is supreme for the ultimate divinity. And he says that form of divinity, that form of love is like nectar. And attaining such a level of devotion, a person becomes perfected, immortal, and he becomes content. And he says, upon attaining such true devotion, he neither desires for anything, or he doesn't have any hatred, he doesn't be attached, or he's not pulled down by the sensual desires or pleasures. Knowing such a devotion, a person becomes ecstatic, silent. He uses three words. One is, he says, in that kind of devotion, there is ecstasy, a true joy, there is silence, and there is immense contentment, self-contentment. So observing further, the deepest desire for a human being is to become one with the divine, for divine is the only true house for us, true goal, true abode. And the meaning for divinity, several sages gave several things. One of the masters say divinity, divine means it is the full potential of what you can become. The potency of the soul is a speck of that ultimate potency. So divinity means the full potential of what you can become. For divinity is our ultimate potential. It is the final possibility beyond which there is nothing more, where the fulfillment is complete, contentment is complete. Until then, there is this feeling of separation and suffering because of that. And the master also says life is energy. And energy, everything in nature is in three forms, it is the creator, the maintainer, and the destroyer, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. The matter, energy, and the absolute. So everything is in three, Sat, Raj, Tamas. So life is energy, and energy is in three forms. And the first is in the seed form, where nothing is manifested. It is just a potential. Then it is the tree form, which is like completely manifested, but the essence of the seed is hidden in that tree. And the third field of energy is like the flower. And that essence, the fragrance becomes manifested. The fragrance of the seed gets manifested in the flower. And it's open and it's infinite. So the seed state represents the desire, which is the field of matter. And the state of the tree represents the field of energy, love. And flower represents devotion, state of absolute. And devotion is the absolute state that we can all strive for. It is the peak. So when you look at it like matter, energy, and absolute, where desire is in the material field, love is in the energy field, subtle body field, and devotion is in the causal field. Desire is connected to the body, so it is heavy. And fulfillment of the body, it seeks for the pleasures of the body. It seeks fulfillment in another body. Otherwise, it feels alone. And it is limited. And in spite of union, it is still incomplete. And the master gives an example of, he says that when two ice blocks, when they're trying to merge, that mergence is not possible because they're in solidified form. So body, desires of the body are in this solidified form. There, the true mergence is not possible. So to find the true potential, fulfillment is not possible. So when the ice melts, it becomes fluid, it becomes water. And that is the field of the energy, the field of the mind. And the water can be shaped. So when two minds unite, that is called love. When two bodies unite, it is just the essence of the desire. But when the field of the minds unite, it is love. That's what happens in the beginning of the journey between the masters and the disciples. The master and the disciple journey begins at this energy level where the minds unite, and so the field of that energy unites, and so there is love. But still, because it's the energy body, it is connected to the physical matter, a part of the desire is in this level of the mind. It is the energy field, the love is somehow not completely pure because it is connected to the body. The energy field is connected to the body. Whereas the soul, the causal field is like vapor. Devotion is like vapor. It is free by itself. In love field, there is still expectation because of the pull of the body, they're tied to the body. In this love, you still expect the beloved to look at you, you expect the beloved to talk to you, write to you, even come on a dream. So even though it is a field of love and energy, it is still not complete. Whereas in the soul field, the soul seeks the soul, the eternal. And the union of that souls is that state of devotion. And the soul, the causal body with the ultimate potency, that mergence is true mergence. So the body's boundary is solid, the mind's boundary is fluid, but the soul has no boundaries, and that is devotion. So in this first Bhakti Sutra of Narada, he calls devotion is the supreme form of love for God, for divinity. He doesn't use the word God at all. He says divinity because his expression, it is the divine state is of full potency. So the first sutra says devotion is the supreme form of love towards divine. And that devotion cannot be expressed with desire because desire is at the body level, it's very far extreme. So devotion is absence of desire. This is how he gives, and I was just blown away by that explanation. Devotion is absence of desire, and which is the supreme form of love. And if we look at our prayer, we mentioned that its desires are putting bar to our advancement. Thou art the only God and power to bring us up to that state. It matches so much because in this prayer that Babaji created, without our knowledge, by stating that fact, we are striving for that ultimate devotion, state of ultimate devotion and the ultimate potency. Isn't that a beautiful statement? Devotion is absence of desire. Because in love, because it's the energy field, in the middle subtle body field, desire still is there. And in devotion, a trace of desire is absent. In love, there is a small element of self-interest. And it does provide a glimpse of something higher than desire, but in devotion, the desire is completely absent. So it becomes pure, selfless love for that ultimate with no personal expectation or desire. And this is the purity, that supreme form of love that devotion distincts and elevates it to be an ordinary level. Devotion elevates us from the ordinary level. And love can be directed towards tangible, but devotion is only towards the ultimate, because love is in the middle field, energy field. It is connected to the body and it is connected to the causal. So it can be both ways. That is why the first sutra says that the supreme form of love towards him. That is why Babaji Maharaj also said, forget yourself and remember him. Let go of the I, and then every cell is filled with that ultimate nectar. In that state, neither he exists or I exist, only the presence of this ecstasy. And that he explains as supreme form of love. So it's a beautiful sutra. Now we will come to our reading. I'm trying to connect that with our prayer. That's why I brought this up. Because in this chapter, Babaji says, fix your goal. During the holidays when we met, I would at times observe myself, and at other times observe your dear self. This evaluation went on to the extent that I could not speak to your good self. The weight of a thing is known when it is placed in the balance. It is only considered to be real when the divine seal is affixed upon it. So, brother, assure yourself and affix the seal, that you may acquire the knowledge of different weight. The meaning of weight is hard work and practice, and the seal is the thought of the trainer. Only when all these things are right does the parable of Kabir Sahib stand true. So this is where Babuji is saying, fix your goal. Have the seal on your heart of what you really want. Without that fixing that goal, it is not possible to do the hard work. And the Doha I try to understand, but I don't know. It says, where a pumpkin sinks in the water, a slab of stone floats. The water on the roof flows from below upwards. It's a very, but Babuji Maharaj explains it, what it means. When I first read that little stanza, I had no idea what he's talking. And Daji also gave this example several times. He says, when a wrestler exercises, and as a result, his body becomes strong and powerful. Whereas a laborer and a woodcutter also toil the whole day without their bodies becoming like that of the wrestler. Because the wrestler has in his mind the goal of strengthening his muscle. When he worked, that muscle got strengthened, he became stronger. Whereas when the laborer is working in the field, he's just working for his livelihood, and so he's just dreading it. So he didn't gain the muscle, he earned his daily wages. So this is where Babaji Maharaj is trying to, and Kabir Das Ji is also trying to bring it to our attention, like how important to fix the goal is. The obvious reason is that the thought of the wrestler is on gaining strength and power, whereas that of the laborer and the woodcutter is only in earning a few pennies. Therefore, the wrestler gains strength while the laborer and the woodcutter reap their few pennies. Correspondingly, in our spiritual practice, the goal should ever be kept in view, for which hard work is absolutely essential. So this goal keeps, when Master said that the meaning of the goal keeps changing, I resonate with it. Because now, before we used to feel that loving the condition, loving the Master, doing the practice, those were all our goals. But now when we are trying to fix the goal of mergence to be in that state, now we are understanding true devotion is where it is devoid of desire. And true devotion is that mergence of your potency with that ultimate potency. And now we are valuing the 4-line prayer that we have, where we are fixing the goal of that mergence of our potency with the highest potency. And we are recognizing I cannot arrive at that state of eligibility of devotion until and unless this flow of my energy, which is love. Yes, we all love, but it is not enough because it still is connected to the desire based, the earthly plane. And now, when it let goes of that desire base, now it starts to flow towards that state of devotion. And we are not able to pull ourselves up. So we seek the help of the guide who is on this earth plane, who, with his highest potency, is able to pull us to his potency, his level of potency. When he takes and puts us in his heart, we attain that potency. That is why ordinary people like us are able to experience extraordinary conditions of divinity, that immense silence because of that. So, all this requires hard work. What is the hard work? First is fixing the goal. What do you want? Correspondingly, in our spiritual practice, the goal should ever be kept in view, for which hard work is absolutely essential. However, feeling and the involvement of the heart are likewise essential. If hard work is undertaken as forced labor, there will be no benefit. That is why surrender, humility, we cannot pretend. It cannot be forced upon us. It has to happen naturally in us. Deep meditation occurs when, after developing love, you fix your thought on the goal with total attachment. So instead of with love, instead of the attachment of the matter, you fix the goal to the attachment of the causal self, the ultimate potency. It is not necessary to remember the goal repeatedly during meditation. You long for it once and you close, but only to develop restlessness, craving, and enthusiasm in the heart for its attainment. Spiritual journey has to become an enthusiasm. Like you want to learn, you want to really become, you want to see that magnificent presence that the great masters have experienced. You have to be enthused. Without this, our practice is not even hard labor, but merely unpaid work. We can construct a house, but if the bricks are laid in a haphazard manner, what is the use? Really, we have to construct that house and dismantle this house. What I mean by dismantling this house is that this house, namely the body, should not be considered as one's. Know that house to be yours, where you must live eternally. Because, we never pay so much attention when we are living in a rental home. We try to keep it clean, but it's not like our problem. But when it's our own home, every little detail, we're always putting our total energy into that house. Oh, this is not right. That is not right. So this is the attitude Babaji is trying to give. Know that this ultimate potency is your real home. This material body is just a temporary home, a rental house. Maintain it only as much as needed. Know that that house to be yours, where you must live eternally. You may live in this house for 100 years at the most, but in that house there is no estimation of time. That alone is the house where eternal life can be understood. You may consider this house as yours, but for how long can it be so? At last it will come to an end. Afterwards you will obtain another house like it. And it will be thinking of its construction and decoration. This cycle will continue. Now tell me, is a house yours if it is repeatedly exchanged? Of course not. And you must also pay its rent and maintain it. The meaning of rent is that one developed such attachment with the body that time and energy are consumed. Really, we construct such houses, yet they are not ours. So, brother, it would be a great mistake if you are inclined towards it and do not take interest in constructing that house which requires no maintenance and where there is no consequence of developing attachment with others. Draw your attention towards this and understand my real objective. I do not wish time to be wasted, and that is why I have thus written. It is a fact that wisdom develops with self introspection. But who has time for this? And look at this statement also. Self introspection is what leads us to the state of wisdom. So we have to be vigilant on ourselves to see what our thought patterns are, because our thoughts represent what our inner state of being is. If our thought is continuously cursing somebody and being angry with somebody, that is the state of our being. So when that's happening, you correct ourselves. We use the techniques that are given by Babuji to release ourselves. So this introspection is what leads to wisdom. If I'm not even aware of that I'm having such thoughts, that I'm continuously thinking negative about this person, or continuously in a state of complaint, continuously in a state of anger, even if I'm not even aware, how am I going to reach the goal? So this self introspection leads us to awareness, and that leads us to that state of wisdom. Those who develop the interest will find the time. What I wish is that whatever little I know, I may impart to all during my lifetime, so that they may keep on advancing. But except for one or two, no one appears to be coming forward with courage. Such a simple thing is told in such a simple way, but even then, it is generally the case that people do not prepare themselves to the extent. Until now, those capable of making such progress are indeed very rare. So, this is the caution. And that is why Daji keeps on transmitting, keeps on non-stop encouraging all of us with the little information that he gives to us. So that molding is gradually happening. And we have to connect ourselves to that. And step is introspection and fixing our goal. In this connection, I wanted to also remind ourselves of the maxim of fixing the goal, which is maxim 3. So I want to connect all these topics so we understand completely what Babaji Maharaj is saying. He says, fix your goal, which should be complete oneness with the divine. Rest not till the ideal is achieved. It is very essential for everyone to fix his thought at the very outset upon the goal that he has to attain, so that his thought and will may pave his way up to it. So now we understand, when we repeat the prayer, we cautiously fix the goal to be one with it, and realize that you really want to be in that ultimate state of devotion. Let go of the desire, and we are seeking for help. It has been observed that those on the path of spirituality who did not fix that final state for their goal have definitely remained short of the mark, because before arriving at the final point, they mistook one or the other of the intermediate states to be the final point or reality and stop there. And this happens to most of us. We come to that, when Master Maker gives you power to become a preceptor, we come to that point 6. He connects us there because power has to be drawn to do the work. And we immediately assume that we are up there. And we keep, most of the preceptors are swirling in that area. They're not able to move forward, because you have to let go of power too. If you have to let go of ego, these ego circles are very strong. So unless this goal is fixed, the heart doesn't long for the further. The heart is now, okay, I got the power, I am preceptor, I'm doing work, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. You're stuck there. So sometimes it's even better that you don't even serve, and you work upon yourself so humbly, like you are nothing. Thus, they suffered merely for not having fixed their goal. Even in worldly matters, so long as a person does not keep his object in view, his efforts are never intensified as to ensure success. It is an admitted fact that a boat cannot ply directly to the destination unless the helm is applied to it. Treating this human form as a boat, and space it is plying in as the ocean of spirituality, it is but essential to put up the helm in order to be able to fly through the vast ocean. In the spiritual field, the helm is our strong determination, which helps us to steer on to the destination. So, determination, fixing the goal, and perseverance. There may be certainly countless worlds at places, but the strength of our will and confidence help us to overcome all of them and proceed on straight to the destination. Since our eye is fixed on spirituality, we take up the ideal, which is the highest, which can be nothing but that associated directly with the absolute. That absolute is that highest potency. Thus, to reach the infinite absolute is one of our primary duties. Same thing what the Bhakti Sutras has explained. Babaji Maharaj is saying the same thing. But so long as the goal is not fixed in one's thought, it's very difficult to complete the journey successfully. Divine help does come, no doubt, but only when the Supreme is convinced of the devotee's earnestness of purpose. That's why we say the prayer. In this prayer, we are trying to convince the Supreme of our earnestness and that we want to be in that state of a devotee where you are letting going of desire. When the reaction creates a stir in the center, so the prayer should create a stir in the center. It indicates that we have concentrated our thought in the great being. This brings to our view the example of the lover and the beloved. It means that the distance between the devotee and the Lord is reduced and the idea of remoteness begins to fade away. Our nearness goes on increasing up to the final limit where the very feeling of aloofness, having merged in reality, becomes completely extinct and assumes the form of latent motion that existed at the time of creation. So we are aiming that eye, that we are moving up to that state when we were first created. Our swimming in the infinite ocean now starts, which brings us to the real life, which comprises the influences of the ocean we are now swimming. It is thus clear that firmness of will and determination to reach the goal helped us to arrive at that destination, with the result we got firmly established in the final state. How this most difficult problem was so easily solved by virtue of correctness of our goal and the firmness of determination may not now be difficult to understand. Our intention to reach the goal promoted our efforts, and since the ideal was the noblest, the interest for it went on increasing till it developed into a strong craving. Then we began to feel impatient for it. When we get into this habit, the tendencies of the mind are diverted towards it with full vigor. So, this is how we are training the mind. The mind needs some occupation. So, instead of craving for the worldly desires, now we have developed the mind to give the habit of craving for the ultimate, the destination. It needs a job. So, thus we come to the conclusion for the attainment of the objective, we have to create in us an intense longing or extreme impatience, which forces our passage onto it, just as the latent motion did at the time of creation. So that what is Babaji saying, that it is that asana inversion principle. We came from the center when we expanded. Now we are going back. We are creating the same force within ourselves with the posture, with the prayer, with the intention, with the dharana to pull ourselves up to move towards that center. We are creating that field to move up. So, beautiful article. Let us all now meditate.